What up, Vibers? It's your boy Kai. Welcome to another episode of the Vibe with Kai podcast. Today, we're joined by my good friend, returning guest, Coach Shea, a life coach who transforms lives by merging her deep understanding of trauma and neurodiversity with a holistic approach to mental health. So get ready as we delve into the secrets of maintaining passion in long-term relationships, managing the roller coaster of parenting and aging, not just with grace, but with fire. Coach Shea's got all the tools and the heart to help us reimagine our lives at any age. So let's dive into all of these actionable items, this inspiration that I'm looking forward to. First and foremost, welcome back to the podcast, Shay.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. It's good to see your face. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute. It has been a minute. So much has gone on in our lives since we last talked. How are you? Update the people that have listened to you before
Sure.
and now they're like, oh, she's back. Yay. What's she been up to?
Well, I'm still writing my book.
Me too. One of my books I've been working on for 6 years.
Oh,
So
okay.
like
I'm
you're
better
good.
than you.
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah, you're fine. I publish like little small things in between, but my actual book,
yeah.
6 years.
No, that's
6 years.
awesome. That means it's going to be a really good book.
I surely hope so.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I have a cover artist who's almost done. I've already started the editing process, so I'm actually seeing the end of the finish line.
That's a good feeling.
It really is.
That's a good feeling.
And for anybody who hasn't heard from me in a minute, I've been living in Colorado for 14 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And I took...
Has it been that long since we talked? No, we talked at Christmas.
I must have been here then.
Yeah, we talked at Christmas.
Yeah. I was already
talking about the Christmas blues.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I was here.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was a crazy time for us these last 14 months. So I have 5 children, as you know, and we moved to Colorado to help out with my husband's parents who are in their 80s. And his father passed just 4 weeks after we moved here. So it's been a roller coaster.
I'm sure.
And then a few months after that, my grandfather passed. And then a few months after that, my grandmother passed. So I've had a lot of like processing and bereavement time in the past year and a half.
Yeah.
So a little less on the coaching side, honestly. I was like, I need to be a good example of what taking care of your mental health looks like and dial it back.
Right. And how do you feel now?
I feel so good. I feel like I've gotten to the other side of a lot of it. But grief is always funny. You have your waves, you have your moments, but overall I feel pretty good and ready to work.
That's awesome. Yes, no, that's a good thing. I'm excited for you, and I'm sorry for the loss that you've experienced, but I'm happy that it sounds like you've been processing all of this in a good, safe, healthy way, which is hard to do. That's not an easy thing to do. So sending all the love to you and your entire family.
Thank you.
Because I know that this has been a little tough. But I want to talk about you specifically before we get into like the topics that we're talking about today. So you are a life coach. You have a very good background, a very eloquent background. Just let the people know that don't know who you are. How did you get into this field, and what are you trying to do with the wonderful skills that you have now?
Oh, thank you for that question. That's great. I think that I've always had an interest in mental health. Like I was a weird kid. So what I mean,
I was a weird kid
you
and a weird
totally
adult.
normal. No.
Yeah. Okay.
The thing is, when I was a kid, I didn't know that I was odd. Now I know.
Yes, and you embrace it, right?
Yes, 100%. Who wants to be normal? So
Boring.
I think I was like 13 or 14 when I was like, I want to take personality tests. I was like into Myers-Briggs and DISC tests back when that was big. And I was just like fascinated by defining different aspects of people's personalities. And I was like, how does this person think? I've always loved it. But what really got me started into this field was going through some real difficult stuff in my 20s that made me kind of see both the benefits and drawbacks of Western medicine. So my cousin, trigger warning, suicide, took her own life when I was 20. And that kind of made me understand how important it is to take care of your mental health. And it kind of was like a wake up call because I got to experience grief at a pretty young age and in a very significant and intense way. That's a very violent experience to go through as a
Yes.
family member of someone. And she had actually lived with us for a few years prior.
Oh,
So
well.
that kind of began my therapy journey per se.
Mhm.
I ended up going to a healing group, and it was basically like everyone kind of shares. And I
Mhm.
thought I was going to process about my cousin, Michelle, who I had lost. But actually, I ended up talking about parent stuff.
Wow.
And so that
Yes.
kind of started the healing journey. And at the same time, living with my parents, which I do not recommend going going through that healing while you're also living with them. But I had gone away for like a training program and then had ended up bounced back to their house at that point. So that was an interesting season. Like I said, I've always been interested in learning about mental health, learning about psychology. I actually went through a leadership development program that had like a Christian bent to it. And that's how I met my husband. So I've
Oh,
always,
okay.
and that was like about the same time. So I've always been thirsty for learning and growing. I didn't know what life coaching was. I was a personal trainer, a photographer, a
Yeah.
dance teacher. I was a gypsy and jack of all trades, like most of us artists are. Had many
Right.
hats. I published my first book in my 20s, like just all over the place. And then, believe it or not, I was interested in mental health as a field, but was like, I can't go to a 6-year school right now because I was having babies all through my 20s. And
Sure.
kind of prioritize that for a minute. But in my 30s, I was like, okay, I've been teaching dance at different studios and I love it, but I wanted to spend 5 minutes at the end of every class teaching these ballerinas how to help their mental health. And so I would like go through breathing exercises and hypnotic exercises and things I had learned about through experiencing them with my own counselor. And I'm like, man, I just love this part. I just wish it
Mhm.
was all this part. And believe it or not, Facebook read me, sent me an ad in 2021. Do you want to make a difference in this world? Try life coaching.
And here we are.
And
Here
here we
we
are.
are,
So
changing lives.
yeah, it's insane. So that
Yeah.
was back in 2021. I learned under David Key, who is a specialist. He's a master millionaire coach.
Mhm.
He used to work mostly in neuro linguistic programming and hypnosis, which is
Mhm.
what my training was in. Now he's kind of shifted into a more um shifting mindset, all about conversation, relating to people and shifting mindsets. So I've kind of shifted too. The training really helps with your mindset and tools, but in the last 3 years I've just learned so much more about myself, about my own weaknesses and challenges, and just coaching people, just the business of coaching people. Because the more people you talk to, the more you learn about how people learn and how they don't learn and what really quote unquote works. But the reality is the clients do the work. I don't do the work. People
Right,
see
right.
success because they've decided to commit to themselves and they've decided to put time and energy into their health. And so I get to reap the benefits of that and be a catalyst for that and help them to be accountable. But yeah, that's what got me here. Oh my gosh, that's so long.
Well, and we're really glad that you're here because you're helping people nonstop in fantastic ways. And
Thank you.
I want to be able. One of the reasons why I love having you on is because you are a wealth of knowledge, and the topics that we're talking about today are topics that I feel my audience are going to be. They're really going to enjoy this because I know a lot of them fall into these categories. So I want to start off with the spicy one first. And this is in regards to sex, sex, in long-term relationships. This is a great topic, and I'm very curious from your perspective. How do you think sex changes in a marriage after time has gone by? How does it change?
I think it depends on the nature of your relationship. So there's no one size fits all in marriage, just
Hmm.
like there's no two people that are exactly alike. So obviously, no marriage is exactly alike. However, there has been a lot of research, especially in the last 10, 20 years, about is sex better when you're committed to your partner or when it's just like fun? And I think
Are those mutually exclusive?
those are just the questions that people are asking. That's the studies that they're doing.
Yeah.
And of course, it's um, depending upon your lifestyle, you know what you know.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you know what
Sure.
you know. And but the reality says that when you have closer emotional connection to someone and you care about them as a human being and you know their likes and dislikes, reason goes to show, and the studies show, that it can become more satisfying.
Yes.
The opposite can be true. So if you are in a relationship long term and you have a bunch of baggage and you haven't developed intimacy in other areas and you're mad at them because of what they said yesterday and they didn't take out the trash when they said they would, you're probably not even in the mood and your libido's probably dropped because you're just so mad at them.
Mhm.
Some people say they can use that anger to have a pretty exciting, spicy night. But
Yes. We
I don't
don't we
think
don't
that
kink shame around
I
here.
don't think that's true all the time, though. I think that
Yeah.
probably the majority of people really want to have that connection emotionally and feel
Oh, yeah.
supported by someone and cared about by someone is safe. So that it's
Mhm.
not
It's
just
safe, it's more
Mhm.
enjoyable, you'll feel more comfortable,
Right.
absolutely.
It's not just a
Mhm.
physical act, it can be also a means to grow in intimacy with someone who
Yes.
you belong with. And it gives you that feeling of belonging, whether you are dating or not, because of the way your body responds. So our bodies develop connection with that person, whether we want to or not. There's something
Mhm.
there now that we share with that person, a piece of ourselves. And so sometimes people are like, okay, that's cool. That's all I needed. I'm gone. But if that connection continues to be shared over and over and over again over time, that connection can actually grow stronger. And
Right, right.
I'm someone who's been married for almost 13 years and have had, 13 years of consistent sex. So lucky me.
Mhm. Must be nice. Must be nice, Shay. Must be nice.
You didn't rub it in your face or anything.
No, it's fine, it's fine. It's all good. I have my cats to cuddle with me, that's all I
Yes.
need. I'm gonna cry after this.
Well, there were
So I
those
wanted
times
to
where I couldn't though, because I was like just had a baby. So I mean, there are breaks there.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
you were in your camera
Yeah.
switch. And then you got right back to it, and then not all of us have that luxury, Shay. Anyway.
It's true. It's true. And it's
I'm
but
projecting.
like it's not easy. Marriage is
Yes.
not
No, I'm
easy.
fair. Then, and that actually leads to the next part of it, because so you had mentioned the part where the opposite might happen, right? So like
Right.
time has gone by and it could help improve the sex, but sometimes the sex is not great, or it doesn't happen at all. The libido isn't there, the urge isn't there, the want, the desire is not there to have these intimate moments with each other. So what do you recommend to couples that are looking to either maintain or reignite
Mm.
the intimacy after so much time has gone by in a relationship?
Yeah. I would say number one is have fun together.
Mm.
When's the last time you had fun? Because
Now,
we get
define fun. Like, are you talking
like,
about like go out and like go to see
yeah,
a movie, or yeah?
yeah.
Mhm.
Like whatever. Okay. Oops, you're cutting in and out. Hopefully the connection's okay.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no, we're good. Yeah. Mhm.
cool. Oof, oof. You turned into a robot for a second there. Um, So, no, basically, yeah, like just laugh together, be silly together, play. So,
Mhm.
like, igniting a relationship can happen through laughter and play and teasing and playfulness in a way that is not really ignited in any other way. Like, as adults and adulting, even if we aren't parents, there's still a lot of business that has to be worked out. Well, this is my schedule. Well,
Mhm.
this is your schedule. What are you doing Friday? Well, this is what I have going on Friday. And it's like, it's constantly more of a management relationship, like trying to
Right.
figure out the scheduling, right? And then once you figure out the scheduling, it's like, okay, well, what are we gonna do? Let's figure that out. And then also, who's gonna be doing this part of the housework and who's gonna feed the cats? It's
Mhm.
like very managerial. And so it's very important in adult life with all the stresses that we have going on that we learn how to de-stress together. And if you learn how to laugh
Mm.
together, you learn how to play, you learn how to have fun and remind yourself, like, when did we fall in love? What were we doing? Mini golf? Let's go play mini golf. Let's go
Yeah.
to Walmart and go shopping together. My
Yeah.
husband and I did a lot of Walmart dates when we first got married because he had
Uh,
just moved here and he needed stuff and we didn't have any money, we didn't have anything to do. We'd be like, I need a
yeah.
can opener. Let's go to Walmart.
I heard that Walmart is an aphrodisiac, so that's Gus gonna Gus gonna.
For
If
the
you're not
record, I
feeling
do
it,
not endorse
that's it.
Walmart.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. There's somebody listening right now that's looking for that spark, and they're like, "Hey, babe, honey, let's go to Walmart." And then the husband's like, "I'm more of a Target guy." And then you started a new argument.
That's
Start a
why
new argument.
whatever you do not go to IKEA.
Oh, why?
IKEA is the end of relationships.
Interesting.
Just,
Okay.
I'm only half kidding. But
I
I
mean,
know
it might
people
be.
who've been married for a decade, and that is a hard place for them because they have to talk through which thing, and there's like 150 options,
Yeah.
and they don't always agree. And it's a huge store, and it's overwhelming, and you're tired, and you're hungry, and you just can't decide which bed frame. And then somebody's gonna have to put that bed frame together. So then
Yes.
after you buy this thing, you finally decide, you take it home. Who's building the dang thing? And do they need help? Are they offended by the help and advice, or do they like the help and the advice? It's a whole thing. So I mean, I would recommend it for strong couples.
This would be the perfect time to let everybody know that today's episode is brought to you by IKEA. If you hate your husband, if you hate your wife, go shopping.
Start low stakes. Low stakes. Start at Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree first. Dollar General. Aldi.
Yes, and then work your way
up
up.
to Walmart. And then if Target goes okay, you
Then
might be
IKEA.
ready for IKEA.
You might be ready for IKEA. That's funny. That's so funny. So like like you get to work with these couples all the time, like these types of couples. Are there like any common intimacy challenges that you see often that you talk with people about often?
Well, in our generation, phones.
Phones.
So
Go on.
phones are a huge problem. So for
Okay.
one, if your spouse is talking to you and you're looking at a phone, it's showing disrespect. It's showing that
Yeah.
you don't value them as much as the person on your phone. And that happens all the time. What are you
Right.
doing? What are you doing on your phone? Oh, I'm playing chess. Oh, okay. I was trying to talk to you. Yeah, it's fine. I'm talking and listening
Right.
at the same time. There's something missing there when we don't have eye contact. We don't have the ability to hold their hand. And if you
Mhm.
don't usually hold a phone in one hand and somebody's hand in the other.
Right, right. And you're saying that that translates into difficulties in the bedroom as well when
Oh,
it's kind of
totally.
like it's
Totally.
like a bad setup kind of
Right.
thing. It just and it
Right.
transfers over.
Yeah, it's like, well, you weren't paying attention to me earlier. You were too pay attention to your phone and not me. So why would you want to pay attention to me now? You just want something from me?
Right, right,
So I would
right.
say
That's
invest in
that.
every area of your marriage. Eye contact.
Hmm.
It's the basics. Like the
Hmm.
basic skills that you have with strangers. Bring them into your marriage. When you meet a stranger for the
Hmm.
first time, you know first impressions matter. So when you walk home and you
Hmm.
live together and you come through that door, think of what your first impression is. Am I going to say hi? Hey, how are you? Give them a hug. Obviously, they're not a stranger, so you can hug them. How are you?
Come here, stranger.
Yeah, come here, stranger.
Let's
I'm
go
from
to
Kansas
IKEA.
City, so I might do that on occasion. Not taking them to IKEA though. No strangers to IKEA. Oh my gosh. But you get what I'm saying. It's like being mindful of those little cues that tell the other person that they matter, that you're listening, that you care. I think a lot of
Right.
times couples feel like they're not the problem, it's the other person. And when we start to get
It's
into
not you. It's
the
not me. It's
blame
you.
game, the moment you've got into the blame game and you're in a fight, nobody wins. Because if you're fighting the one you're
Hmm.
supposed to be working with, they're your partner in life. So if you're fighting them,
Hmm.
no one wins. You both lose.
Right.
And
Right.
that's a
Right.
counselor told my husband and I, even before we got married, we went to something called premarital counseling, which most people don't even know exists. But that was the main counseling we've been to
Yeah.
was before. Like, let's talk about these things
Right.
and work through these things before we even get married so you don't have to like be blindsided by them. And it doesn't mean you won't
Right.
still have things you're blindsided by. That's just life. But yeah, I would say to build intimacy, look at all the areas of your marriage, not just the physical side. In fact,
Right.
I would say that sex is probably maybe 20%, maybe 30% of your marriage, depending on how good it is.
Hmm.
Most of your
Right.
marriage is working out the day-to-day problems, dealing with the everyday big decisions, like
Yeah.
with money and everything else, like decisions, but also just, do you spend time together?
Right, right. Well, so what happens after the babies start coming out? How do you get back into the mood? Because I would imagine, and like, I mean, I wouldn't know, but after, for a woman specifically, after you give birth, after you create the miracle of life comes out, how, like, is it difficult to get back into like that intimate role or
Mm,
like and if so, what advice do you have for people that are having difficulty getting back into that intimacy
yeah,
after a baby?
I know that I'm gonna say this 100 times, but it's not a one size fits all because I've known all
Mhm.
different kinds of mothers. There are mothers who wanna
Mhm.
take a lot of time for their body to recover, their emotions to recover. They don't wanna be away from their newborn for even 10 seconds, so much less 20 or 30 minutes, which, that's,
Mhm.
what it might take in the bedroom to get something going. It takes a little time
Sure.
sometimes. But other parents, it doesn't. They have a baby and they're like, now I feel even closer to you. I feel even or more bonded. Here's what our love created. How incredible is this? And you might even fall in love with your
Right.
partner more. There's something to that. That's why people sometimes do the unhealthy thing of thinking that a kid's going to keep their marriage together. By the way, it won't because it'll cause more stress. But there is
Yes.
that initial connection of, wow, this is something incredible that our love helped create. That makes me fall in love with you even more. Get over here.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at
What
least
about
for me
I'm
and my
sorry.
husband, it was not there was no problem there.
Right. What about from the physical side of it? Like, because I know one of the things that I hear a lot
Mm,
from my audience sometimes is that after they have the baby, obviously their body is different than what it was
mhm.
before the baby, and there's a lot of self-conscious feelings that are happening sometimes, and
Yeah,
it's hard for them to get back into the mood, not necessarily because of their partner, but because of how they view
yeah,
themselves, right?
yeah,
So what would you say to somebody listening right now that's struggling with that self-image
yeah,
and that's affecting their libido?
yeah. First of all, I would say you're not alone.
Mhm.
Most women who have internet have this problem because we've
Mhm.
been sold this idea that our body should look this way forever. And the people in movies, they have makeup on their bodies. They have
Yeah.
all kinds of filters. Heck, even TikTok has
Yeah.
filters on skin to make
Mhm.
it look more perfect than it really is. So I
Mhm.
think the ridiculous standard for beauty is really what comes in the way of intimacy for some of us women because we're like, we don't look like that. Well, guess what? They don't look like that either. And some models have been confident enough. I've seen pictures in the last few years of people, especially older people who are like more wiser, human beings like
Mhm.
actresses who are in their 40s, 50s, 60s, showing you the real picture of themselves as well, right next
Mhm.
to the one that was airbrushed and edited. And it's a very
Mhm.
different picture because
Mhm.
aging is normal and natural. And as hard as it is when you see those stretch marks and that extra saggy skin hanging there, your intimacy with a long term partner was not just about the physical. You have
Mhm.
a relational connection to that person. They want you as a person in their life in every way, including intimacy physically. If you have a supportive partner, if you have a loving partner, he's probably not going to care that you have a couple stretch marks on your stomach or you have a couple extra pounds because he doesn't see that as much as he sees or she sees who you are. They
Right.
know you. And when someone intimately knows you, they've fallen in love with more than your appearance. So it's important to fall in love with yourself
Mhm.
for more than your appearance. And that's when it comes back to self love. Self love isn't the end all be all to growth and self care. But if you don't have that care and kindness extended to yourself, then how can you expect yourself to accept it from someone else? So, in other
Mhm.
words, if someone gives me a compliment and says, dang, you look good, but I don't love myself, I'm gonna be like, oh, no, no, I have so many imperfections. You don't even know. I look so bad under these clothes, right?
Yeah.
But if I've come to a place of acceptance, and honestly, this is gonna sound weird, but stand in front of yourself in a mirror so you can get used to how you look.
Yeah.
Okay, this is how I look. This is what we're working with. Let's be real.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
And it might be
Yeah.
emotional, it might be triggering at first, especially if your body's changed a lot. I've had 5 kids. I am not the same
Yeah.
body, but I'm also not even the same person. And
Right.
if my husband can love me through the changes in my personality, in my goals, in my dreams, in so many things. Heck, my name wasn't even Shea when we got married. It was my middle name. So if he can get used to the becoming of who I'm becoming, he can also learn to love the new body that he gets to experience and find things that he loves about it too. But like I said, loving your own body is so hard, so difficult in this age, but it
Mhm.
is possible. And you have to start small. And it may even feel like you're being dishonest at first because you're changing that
Right.
internal voice. You're saying, I look great. You
Right.
don't judge
Right.
someone else when they say that, even if they're even heavier than you, probably. It's a personal
Right.
thing. It's an invisible standard that all of us feel like we have to live up to. Um, it's not real.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I know for parents in general, like obviously the stresses of parenthood, which we'll get into in a second, on top of the self-image as well, like
Yeah.
all of these things can add so much stress into a person's life, and which is why I want to talk about the stress side of parenthood
Right.
because that I hear about that a lot. Most of my audience are parents that are usually like in 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. That's like my core audience. And a lot of them are parents, a lot of moms that are in my audience. So what advice do you have for parents who are overwhelmed by the demands of parenting?
Yeah. First of all, I get it. I've been there. I'll probably be there again tomorrow for 10 minutes as I'm getting my kids ready for school. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
um, but I think something to remember as a parent that it doesn't have to look like what we think it has to look like.
Okay.
Okay, so let me explain. It's another thing where we have invisible standards, right? So we have this invisible standard of the perfect parent. And whatever that is, we're trying to match ourselves to be that person or that image. That's unrealistic. And that will leave you feeling like you're a failure every single day of your life. So instead, think about who are you? What are you good at? What do you bring to the table? Are you a good communicator? Are you good at playing and having fun? Are you good with numbers? It doesn't really matter. That is your gift for your kids. Your
Mm,
greatest strength is the thing you can focus on while raising your kids. They need who you are. They need your knowledge, they need your heart, and they need your skills. And so if you act towards them with confidence and love for yourself and you show them what it looks like to operate in your strengths, that's awesome. But you're also going to give them an example of how to fail. And so,
mm,
how you treat yourself in those micro failures of parenthood is so important. And not believing the lie, oh my gosh, I've ruined it. I've ruined them. Like, if we live like that, we're going to be stressed so hard and afraid so hard that we're not even going to get to enjoy our kids or the relationship that they offer us. Kids want
right.
relationship. They don't want us to be just in the same room. They want to know that we care about them. They want to know that we care about their thoughts and feelings just like an adult. And I
Mm,
see more parents nowadays utilizing a gentle parenting method, which has its strengths. And it's certainly better than ignoring your kids, telling them to shut up and go to the room and, beating them or
sure,
something. But it has its
sure,
weaknesses too, because it
right.
puts parents in this idea that you always have to be gentle. You always have to present two options. You can never say no. You can never have a boundary that is solid. But that's actually not true. And if you look at the research, that's actually important. Kids want to know where the walls are. And so instead
Mhm,
of giving them a brick wall, we're giving them a cushy, bouncy house and saying, hey, here's the wall. Whoop, come back. Here's the wall. Yeah,
right,
still there. Still there. And sometimes they think it's fun to
right.
push your buttons because it feels a little bit too much like a bouncy house. And that's
Yeah,
when gentle
yeah,
parenting has gone a little too far. So instead, you can say, oh, no, there's actually a bumper pad right behind that. Yeah, that doesn't feel good to hit against, does it? Let's not do that.
right,
And it's a safety issue
right.
because you as a parent are giving them these boundaries so that they understand boundaries in adulthood. It keeps them safe. It helps them feel safe and secure because they know that mom's always going to do this, dad's always going to say that. There's always these rules that I can count on. So it works counterintuitively. Parents feel like, oh no, I'm restricting them. No, you're not. You're giving them a safe freedom so that they know the
Right.
rules, so that they can be free. I am not a helicopter parent at all, but I'm also not a free range parent. And it depends on the age of the kid and the
Mhm,
personality of the kid. You cannot take a one size fits all parenting model and fit it to every kid. I have a neurodivergent kid. I have a kid who doesn't care about what anybody thinks. I love that about him. It also means that when I
yeah.
say, see, mommy likes it when you do this, he doesn't care.
Mm,
So it's learning the
mhm,
personality of each kid and what creates that bond that brings the buy in. So if I'm
right,
bonding with my oldest child, it's going to look completely different than if I'm bonding with my third child. My first child
right.
wants me to drink tea with him and listen to a song that he likes. My second child wanted me to play a game with him, see his game that he made today. And I was like, okay, I'll see it for 10, 15 minutes, but then I got to go figure out dinner. But okay, you have 15 minutes. So he's explaining to me this whole elaborate game he's created. And of course, it's never long enough. It's never long enough
Mm,
with each kid. It's never enough time. But
mhm,
they see that effort. They see that, yes, I will come see your game, or yes, I will put your picture on the fridge. My third kid wants to be the entertainer. He wants to make people laugh. He wants to be silly. He's over the top. He's an actor. He's neurodivergent. He's full of energy. And so he wants me to.
You just described me, by the way. Am I your third child?
Yes, you
I think
are.
you just described me.
It
Oh,
was
hi,
it was
Mom.
your previous or your future life. Wait.
Yeah. You just
No, that
adopted
was
me. Hi,
him.
Mom.
He's bouncing around.
Yeah.
He's fun. He's social. And so when I say be quiet, settle down, sometimes he hears, you don't even like me.
Oh, well.
Because he's neurodivergent, they need twice as many, 3 times, 4 times as much encouragement. It's like dry desert ground for encouragement and an oasis for negativity. So if I say something like, oh no, that's not good, I'm a bad kid. What? I didn't say that. And so there's a lot more communication that's required to get through those moments. But being a parent has more to do with following your instincts about knowing your own child and about letting go in the ways you need to let go. Because our job as a parent is not just to protect, it's also to empower and equip.
Right.
And so
right.
my parenting changes as my kids grow. So with my 11-year-old, I'm trying to push him into things that feel a little bit uncomfortable for him so that he can learn how to overcome that little bit of uncomfortableness.
Right. So how do parents balance being a parent and being a partner, right? Because like we touched upon both, right? We touched upon the importance of being a good supportive partner, and we touched upon being a good supportive parent. And I know they're not mutually exclusive. I know they go hand in hand. It's not like black or white kind of thing. But like, how do you find that balance as a parent between being a partner and being a caregiver?
I think everybody would say keep dating.
Yeah.
My husband is also my boyfriend.
Right.
If I haven't been on a date,
I love that mindset.
I
love when married people say that. I'm like, freaking goals. I love that.
I joke
love
around
that so
with
much.
him. I'll be like, oh, we used to have all kinds of jokes with this. He'd be like, oh, my wife said that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, she sounds so annoying. So glad you're with me now. Like we have I have like multiple personalities of myself because I'm not just a mother. I'm not just one thing. You're all different sides. And so we kind of do that jokingly, like, come in the bedroom, I'll treat you better than your wife. You know, just like,
and it adds like a little extra spice, like leading back to what we were like talking about in the beginning.
But that's what I was saying. Be playful, have fun. Like the playfulness and fun, when that lays into the bedroom, you're not in your head, you're not all stressed out. You're like, you know what? I just want to connect with you more because I love spending time with you. Versus, oh no, we haven't done it in a while. Or, oh my gosh, I have these physical needs that are not being met. Because when you come to someone like this, nobody likes that. But if you come to like this, that's like, my hands are open, I'm open to this, and I care about you. That's a totally different mindset. So balancing, back to what your question was, like balancing marriage and parenting, I think first of all, you keep dating your partner, so you still treat them like they're the most significant relationship in your life. And I think a lot of parents actually sidestep this because once their kid is born, you have like all these hormones that make you think that your child is the most incredible thing that was ever, and you have so much love for them. It's like automatic like that. With your partner, it's not necessarily that easy. They're adults. You expect more out of them. You don't have hormones surging through your body all the time. That's the in love part, right? The in love, when you first get married, there's a honeymoon period. Some people 3 months, some people 6 months. That kind of wears off, and you're like, okay. Oh, okay. So that's not constant. It comes back though. It comes back, and you have seasons where you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with you. And other seasons where you're like, okay. And that's okay. That's natural and that's normal. I think not being afraid is a huge part of it. I think a lot of times people parent out of fear and they have their relationship in fear. If you're afraid that your partner is like not being faithful to you with their eyes, or you're afraid that your partner is not liking you as much anymore, and then you're afraid that you're going to lose your kid, or you're afraid that you're not going to be a good parent, fear is never a healthy motivator. It's just not. Now, instead, be motivated by love. So like, I love you, so I want to spend time with you. Even though we're parents now, it's complicated, and we're probably not going to have a date for a little while because we have a newborn. Let's find those little moments when the baby's sleeping to just like ask you how your day was. The little things become so precious. And like, we have 5 kids. So our time is spent trying to connect with each kid every day, like trying to make sure that each one of them feels seen and heard. And some days we may not do as well as others because this one kid over here is having a huge issue that we need to deal with and this kid's not. And so it's just like constantly balancing, even just between the kids, to give all that attention that they need. That can be like strenuous. That can be
Mhm.
hard. But I'll tell you what, there's more time than you think if you're willing to make it. And when
Yeah.
you make that time, it says something to your partner. Like this morning, my husband and I got up at 5 and went for a run. By run, I mean walk and jog occasionally while going,
Yeah.
that was me.
Yeah.
That was me. I was
Yeah.
never a runner,
Yeah.
never a skill. I was a dancer and we didn't run a lot. So it
Right.
was hilarious.
Right.
At the end,
It was a different kind of
different
cardio when you're
skill,
dancing.
different
Yeah.
skill.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
my husband was in soccer. So like at the end of
Mhm.
our run, he's like, I think I'm just going to run the rest of the way back. And I'm
Oh.
like, that sounds good, baby. Go ahead. You need to get the
Yeah.
workout in too. But
Yeah.
just the fact that he took the effort to get up that early, and he hates mornings and he's not a morning person and he
Mhm.
was dreading it and it was so hard. And he didn't even
Yeah.
want to run. He doesn't even like running. The fact that he made that sacrifice because first of all, we know it's good for us, but also because it gives us a little bit
Mhm.
of time just to the two of us, even
Yeah.
if we're not talking, like even if we're just trying to breathe as we run down the street, it's something that bonds us.
Yeah.
And like I really appreciated that moment that he made that time before work. Like he had to leave by 6 a.m. It just there's
Yeah.
more time than you think if you're willing to make time for it.
Right.
And I
Right.
realize that I waste time. I spend time on Instagram or I spend time binge watching a show. And I started asking myself, like, oh, is that really what I'm gonna do right now? Because it's okay if it is. But making sure that my values are lining up with my time. People always say, I
Right.
don't have enough time. I don't have time. Yes, you do. You have enough time to choose what you want to value. So, what do you value?
Right, right. I love that. And the idea of growing old with somebody is just it's such a fascinating, good feeling. But it's
Wholesome.
funny, yeah, but the word that sticks out to me sometimes when I hear growing old with somebody is the word old. And I know a lot of us are afraid of that. Do you like this segue, by the way?
Yeah. I'm
A
really
lot of us
impressed,
are
actually. Good job.
it's you know what? It's because this is my 203rd or fourth episode. And at this point, if there's one thing I'll brag about when it comes to my podcast,
Humble
I have
brag.
mastered humble brag. Absolutely. I think there's always healthy humble brag. I will always humble brag about my segues. I can segue like no other.
You can segue what like a mall cop.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. 100%. So, from the age side of it, as we grow older, you were kind of alluding to this before when we were talking about like the things that we see on TV and online and movies about, you know, CGI and filters and makeup and all this stuff.
Botox.
So, yeah, so like as we get older, how can we maintain a positive self-image in a society that, in my opinion, glorifies youth?
Yeah.
How do we maintain a positive self-image?
Heck if I know. I'm working on it. I have some theories.
Okay.
Um, so I'm starting to get a little older, when you do this, you
Mhm.
see all these going on, and
You look great, Shay. You look
I can
great.
tell that I'm getting older though. I can tell.
Sure, I get it.
And I
Right.
have a gray hair. I won. It's over here somewhere. Um um so I made a decision early on that I was gonna let myself age. And I
Okay.
did that partially because I saw what it was like to have someone in my life who did not want to age. And
Mm,
so as a kid, when this person is overly concerned with the flappiness of their thighs or the softness of their skin or each new wrinkle, each new gray hair, it started to give me a complex as the child,
mm,
looking up to the next generation and going, "Oh, this is bad. This is something she doesn't want. This is something she's expending a lot of time and energy worrying about and stressing about." Well, that seems silly. And as a kid,
mhm.
I kind of came to that. And then, so as I'm growing up and actually getting older, I'm going, what does it look like for me not to have that same battle? Well, it's the
Right.
same thing I talked about earlier, which is learning to love your face.
Mhm.
It's going to be weird at first because as your body changes, as your face changes, you literally look in the mirror and see a stranger. And I've had so many
Right.
people in their 60s and 70s and 80s tell me this. They're like, I'm
Mhm.
not me. That's not how I feel that I look. That's just my face. I have energy, I have vigor, I have youth. So why does my face look like this? And it just makes them mad because I feel like it's not a reflection of them. Um,
Right.
and I get that. And that's a real thing. I am trying to tell myself that not everybody gets to live this long.
Mhm.
And having
Mhm.
had family members who died before their time, multiple family members, unfortunately, I've had a lot of loss in
Mhm.
my life, not just
Sure.
in the last year. And last year it was elderly
Yeah.
people. So it was almost, I
Yeah.
don't want to say easier, but it felt like it was their whole life had been completed and they finished their
Right.
in my family, that's not always the case. And I have family
Mhm.
members and friends and lots of people we've lost at a young age. And what you think is, wow, they're going to look like that forever to us. They'll always be a kid.
Mm.
They never get
Mhm.
the honor and the privilege of having wrinkles. What would they have looked like with gray hair?
Right.
I'm choosing this. These lines right here, they're because
Mhm.
I've been happy.
Yeah.
I'm going to wear
Yeah.
these proud. I smile a lot.
Yeah.
I laugh a lot.
Yeah.
These are a part of my life and history. If I didn't have any memories, I wouldn't have any facial expressions. I wouldn't have anything to show. Like the only way
Mhm.
I don't have wrinkles is if I never smiled, I never frowned, I never looked surprised.
Yeah.
I don't want
Yeah.
that. My wrinkles are
Right.
badges of honor of a life well lived. My gray hairs will be evidence of the wisdom that I have grown because of how many years I've been on this earth and I made it.
You made it. We're here, baby.
We're
We made
here.
it. We made it.
40, here we come.
Are you turning 40 this year?
No, but I know we're both like not that far.
Yeah, I turned 37 on May 26th.
Yeah, I turn 37 on June 29th. We're like we're almost the same age.
Yeah, we're on the same age. Do you believe in ageism? Do you like what are your
Oh,
thoughts
it's
on
real.
on ageism?
It's totally real. Um, it don't even get me started. Oh my gosh. Um, so I come from a family where my husband is the youngest of 11.
Okay.
Yeah, just waiting for that to sink in. Um,
Yes.
and so I have siblings in laws that are older than my parents.
hmm
And so as I got to
hmm
meet his siblings and they treated me as an adult, even though I was like 21, 22 when I was meeting them, it made me go, wow, these are adults. These are like grown-ups who are validating me and seeing me. And I
hmm
realized that there is a power that comes with age for a little
hmm
while where people go, wow, you're a grown-up. You've been around this long. You've learned some things. And we usually don't start recognizing that age and wisdom can come hand in hand until we're in our 30s.
Right.
A lot of times when we're in our 20s, we're still valuing our youth more than our maturity. But then we realize in our 20s that 20s are hard and we have to learn some things in order to get to the next phase in our life. And as we go to the next phase in our life, we start to value wisdom a little more. The
hmm
problem is, like you said, our culture glorifies youth.
Right.
And I
Right.
don't think that we're going to change all of human culture in a second. But I do know that there are cultures around the world, like Eastern culture, that actually value the wisdom of the older generations. So much so
Right.
that they live with grandma and grandpa, not just because they're going to help take care of them physically, but because they need to be taken care of from their wisdom and their knowledge. Even
Right.
when they have dementia, starting to have dementia, even when they're starting to lose certain parts of themselves, they still remember the lessons that they learned 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And our culture so undervalues that. We hang on the every word of someone just because they've made it successful in their lives in a monetary sense. They've made millions of
hmm
dollars. Just
Right.
because someone has made millions of dollars does not mean they have wisdom. Does
hmm
not mean they even have intelligence. Half the time, it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, and a little bit of I was born with this.
Right.
It's a
Right.
lot of times having to do with the privilege they were born with. And then it was just like luck and hard work and the right people at the right time. So the problem with elevating the voice of people who are 20 and 30 as the be all, the standard, is that we're missing out on people who've had 2 or 3 or 4 more decades of study and life experience.
Mhm.
So I think ageism is very real. I know people who
Right.
can't get jobs because they're older, even though they are totally capable.
Right.
And
Right.
as your body diminishes, it doesn't mean that you are any less value any more than a baby who's worthless because they can cry, they poop, they pee, right?
Mhm.
That doesn't
Mhm.
diminish their worth.
Right.
And so if you look at human beings as all being worth the same from baby to death, it helps you to kind of reframe your thoughts on the whole
Sure.
thing. Okay, so if this person, even though they're not contributing to society because they can't work a job anymore and they don't have the energy,
Mhm.
what are they contributing to my life?
Right.
With a baby, they're cute. We're all programmed to see giant eyeballs and go,
Right.
but I don't think I've
Yeah.
realized until I lived with my in-laws just how much I can learn from their experience.
Mhm.
These are some of the
Mhm.
toughest people that have ever lived on the face of the planet, and they're not going to be alive in 10 years. The greatest generation
Mhm.
is leaving.
Yeah.
We only have
Yeah.
so much time. Urgency is there to
Mhm.
glean the knowledge and the wisdom that they had when they went through way more than we have because they were fighting wars at 18 at home and abroad. It was a whole other life.
Mhm.
And this
Yeah.
generation has become so fragile and we're broken and we're weak and we're all anxious and we're not okay and we're so stressed and our relationships are falling apart. Like, maybe there's some wisdom we can glean from people in their 80s.
It's funny you say that because one of the things I got into I was interviewing somebody this was a couple of months ago,
Yeah.
and we were talking about like different generations and stuff. And there was one thing I did push back on in regards to that mindset because I think
Yeah.
I to a point I agree with you, but the one point that I always try to make
Hmm.
when that topic is brought up
Yeah.
is that I think, and this is just my personal
No, I'd
opinion,
love to
I
hear it.
feel that people in our generation, you're correct, broken, fragile. We are. There's so much going on emotionally that we are just unable to handle, or we're. The thing is that we're talking about it more
Right.
because we have better communication tools and we're
Hmm.
opening up and we understand a lot of stuff
And we
now
have
more
the
so than
luxury.
right,
We
right.
have the luxury
So
of having feelings.
right, right. So my pushback to the
Hmm.
person I was speaking with, and I'll
Yeah.
kind of sort of do it here too,
Yeah. Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that I think it's fair to say that yes, the previous generations were like strong people with full of wisdom. However,
Hmm.
how much of that was suppressed emotions
Hmm.
because they did not have the communication tools, the therapy, the medicinal tools. How much of
Hmm.
that did they suppress? Number
Hmm.
one, and how much of that it was how much of our struggles
Hmm.
are a result of them not taking, having those types of
Right.
resources that we have
Yeah.
today, right? So that's where I
Yeah.
always push
No, I
back
love that.
by
Yeah.
by saying just a little bit because I do agree
There's never
with
a
that
one
mindset
thing.
to a point.
There's
Yeah,
no, there's
yeah,
never a one thing. And you're right.
yeah.
They did not do a great job nurturing or teaching communication or expressing feelings
Hmm.
because they didn't have the luxury in their life. They grew up way younger. They were working at 10
Hmm.
years old, probably
Yeah.
shipped off to war at 18. Like it's,
Hmm.
and we're getting married at 17 or 18, 19 years old. So they didn't have the luxury of that. I also think that something that's a plague on our generation is the technology. And I
Hmm.
think it's both. Obviously, it's not one thing or the other. We do have access to so much information. We do have this wonderful power, but we also have all the information in the universe at our
Yeah.
fingertips, including everything that's going wrong all over the planet all at once.
Right.
People are not designed to be responsible for the care or help of every human on the planet. So we have two choices. Either we become apathetic, like, oh, 10 million people die.
Hmm.
It's not here, you know,
Right.
or
Right.
our
Right.
hearts bleeding all the time for the poor children in such and such place. And so I think that it's a really hard thing to walk that line to feel responsible for what we can do and how we can help in our society and also know when to unplug. And so
Yeah.
I talk a lot about the village mindset. When
Mhm.
you're feeling anxious, you need to unplug from anything that's not in your village.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're going to look like you don't know what's going on. That's okay. You know what's going on with you. You know what's
Right.
going on with your best friend and your sister and your boyfriend and your mom. That's okay. Have you checked in with those people? Are you connected to the people that are actually in your life physically? Or are you so concerned with things and people that you can't help, can't control, can't make a difference in, that you feel powerless and have higher and higher and higher anxiety? So I know that I'm theorizing about this to some degree, but it's also, there's a lot of studies on it too. And in specifically social media and young adults. They actually have these awesome case studies because Facebook came out of a college. So they have the college that had Facebook and the college that didn't.
Mhm.
And the mental health survey showed that depression was higher, anxiety was higher. They were less happy at the college where they had this very comparison based social media. Oh, big surprise. Comparing ourselves to other people and judging ourselves based on a picture is not healthy.
Mhm.
It's not. And if you meet someone in person, it's going to be even more real than what we're doing right now.
Right.
I can't
Right.
reach across and give your shoulder a squeeze if you're having a
Mhm.
moment. That's human connectivity that we've lost in this current generation. And we've chosen a counterfeit of fast food relationships. We've forgotten how to communicate and connect with other people in our real life and become over obsessed with things we can't control or can't connect with. Obviously, broad strokes, oversimplification. But definitely contributing
Yeah.
factors.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny. It's funny you say that because I would love to like dive more into that
Hmm.
because I definitely have some thoughts
Hmm.
too that are kind of like along the lines of what I was
Yeah.
like talking about before. Because I know that a lot of people that are listening right now, I know you like feel the same way that you do, and I
Mhm.
completely understand that.
Yeah.
And so, like, whenever I think of it, I always come at it from a different approach. But
I love that.
that's another
You're
podcast from
always
another day.
like, what about the other side?
Yeah,
The
I
devil's
always, yeah.
advocate.
100%, especially for our younger people, because I feel like sometimes like Gen Z, you know, gets crapped on when they shouldn't. Like
Some of
I
them have
think that
said they're not going to be on social media anymore. They're like, this is dumb. All y'all crazy. I don't have Facebook anymore. I've met so many younger people who are like, I'm not on any of that crap. It's unhealthy. Didn't you know? Like,
right,
some of them
yeah,
are getting it.
yeah, and I think that it's a I can go on for we should talk about that at some point because
Okay,
I have thoughts.
okay,
I have thoughts.
okay. I'll do some
um
research. I'll get myself prepared.
um, well, with that said, Coach Shea, I really do appreciate you being here. I mean, you speak so eloquently and brilliantly about like all of these topics,
I was
and which
homeschooled.
so I mean, you do great. I mean, no matter what schooling you had, you I
No,
mean
I'm
you
being
whatever it worked
playful.
for you.
I'm being playful.
It worked great for you. So you know,
My
like
parents
you're
my parents spoke to me as an adult from the age of 3. There was no baby
right,
talk in our house. So I said
right.
words like attention and affection at age 3. So you can blame my parents for the eloquency.
Well, you did you're doing a great job, and I appreciate you being here, and I know that my audience appreciates it as well. And for those of you that are listening, that are like, I like what this person has to say. Shay and I do have a little special partnership going, which I'm going to put inside of the description of this podcast. So if you're interested in learning more about what Shay can offer you specifically, because I always say that to people, like we can talk at you for the longest time, but like I think you were saying before, like it's up to you to take action. And so what I like to do is provide resources for people to take action, to at least point them in the right, put them in a direction,
Yeah.
and offer some resources. Which you are one of those resources that I want to put people towards. So I have all of that information in the description of this podcast, especially if you're looking to save some dough, if you're looking to save some money, if you're looking for good guidance, if you're looking for all of that. I got the hookup for you. Put you a little discount code for you.
Only friends
So
of Kai get the
only
discounts.
friends. Yeah, so it's very exclusive, very very exclusive kind of thing. So I put that into the description of this podcast. I've also included just all of Coach Shea's handles and websites, all that kind of stuff is all in the description as well. Some parting words for our friends, Coach Shea. What is one final piece of advice that you want to give to everybody listening right now as they embrace their journey through aging and sex and parenting?
Hmm. Those are three very different subjects.
I know. I know. We have to sum it all up.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so if you want a good sex life, treat your partner with kindness. If you want to be a good parent, treat yourself with kindness and show your kids what failing looks like in a healthy way. Apologize when you make a mistake because that's showing them what to do when they make a mistake because they won't be perfect either. Showing your kids you're perfect makes them feel like they have to live up to an invisible standard that they can't live up to anyways. So it's okay to be messy. And
I love
as you
it.
grow older, don't forget, with age, with wrinkles, with sagging everything and all the gray
Yeah.
hairs and that hip that gives you trouble, you have something to offer that you didn't have before because you've lived life, you've experienced things, and you know more now than you did last year. So there you
Amen.
go.
Amen. I appreciate that. I appreciate you, Shay. Again, my friends, I put all of Shay's information in the description. Also, if you like me, you can learn more about me too. You can visit my website, thevibewithkai.com, and you can see my blog, my email list, my podcast like this. All that kind of stuff is there, including other resources. I have a whole mental health resource hub that
Yeah,
is
he's got a
available
whole
on
thing
my
going.
website. A whole thing going on. I just want to help people go in a direction towards help. So
Yeah.
with that said, Coach Shea, thank you so much for sitting down with me today. And thank you for everything that you have to offer the people listening, the people watching, people at home, people listening. Remember, no matter what stage of life you are in, it's never too late to reimagine your journey, embrace a fuller, more vibrant life with great sex, because that's what it's all about. With that said, my friends, as always, much love, good vibes, and I'll talk to you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.